So one of the sheds that's only a year old had to have the asphalt roof replaced a couple of weeks ago because it hadn't been fitted correctly. A year ago they'd left the asphalt sheet too short, and one of the consequences in the centre of the workshop was some water got in and it spread along the joists, and it eventually fell into the the LED light fitting, and apparently there was a bang and that light, well, the whole lot went out, the three lights went out, and when I opened this centre one there was water in the actual metal fitting, but after I disconnected that one and I connected these LED tubes, and I think this is a 4-foot one, yeah, I think so. I've got two of these, and they were both dead, and they've been sat here in the workshop for the last couple of months whilst I put off looking at them. Anyway, today I decided to cut the ends off. Now there's two ends, obviously. One says do not power this end, and the other end has the rating, input information, etc., manufacturer's details. Now when I cut this end off, I was left with a very sooty plastic piece. You can see a lot of soot in there. Just bear in mind I've cleaned this up a lot, because I wasn't actually going to film this, but I thought in the end I would, because I've got another one that I can crack open in a minute. And what I found was this little 500 milliamp fuse is just pushed into these pins on the inside, and it's completely melted. It looks like water perhaps has got in there and it's just blown itself to bits. You can see molten metal and all sorts of stuff going on there. Not much of a gap between each end, to be fair, and for testing purposes I just stuffed I can't even remember, it's one of my GHD fuses in there. I've crimped it now, so I can't remember what the rating was. Let me just grab another one. Certain boards use these. I can't remember what it is. Is it 3? No, I think it's a 5 amp. So obviously 10 times more powerful than it should be. But it's only for testing. So no, anyway, I've just put that on the end, popped the fitting back into my other workshop, and it works perfectly. So we are just going to snap off this other end. It's siliconed on, so I don't know whether in warmer periods you might be able to twist this off, but I actually had to cut it off just by snipping down through the plastic. Don't know whether it's soft enough to cut with a knife. It's a little less destructive if we can put it back on like this. Yeah, I think we have cut through that, you know. Yeah, we have. Now, let's see if we can force this off with a spudger. There we go. It's just a little bit of some sort of silicone, I think, that's been put on this, and then the tubes squeezed on the end of the fitting. There we go. Now, of course, now it's not so easy to get to. The other one just pulled out. You can see it in there. It looks blackened to me. It's not blown to bits and molten like the other one, but it is definitely blackened. So I suspect if we there you go. Whoops. If we just replace this. Yeah, definitely blackened. My meters aren't on at the moment, but definitely failed. And I suspect if we just tack on a wire or fuse into there, it will be back in business again, which we will check in a moment. So, point being, if you have LED strips like this and one of them suddenly fails, before you go out replacing it, you might want to chop off the end that says do not power this end, and just see if this fuse has gone. As I say, this is a 5 amp fuse, totally unsuitable for this, but it's just worth a try. I'm going to plug it in. You'll be able to see if it lights up or not in a second. I don't know whether you could see that or not, but that has come on without any problem at all. Yeah, so with the proper value of fuse fitted into there, you could, I guess, just solder that back in, or you could just crimp. In fact, there's a couple of tiny little crimp marks already on there, probably just trying to hold that original fuse in place. The leads on these are quite a lot thicker than the ones I'm using here. So yes, very interesting. It would have been very easy to just go out and replace these, when actually all it needs is two 500 milliamp fuses, and that really is badly burnt. I don't know whether you can see it or not. Just trying to see, make sure I've got it the correct rating. It's very, very small print. Yeah, it is a T500, so a lagging fuse. Soft blow on there. Well, it's a little bit blackened. I wouldn't call that a soft blow. Where there's the other one, there's molten metal bits everywhere where it's blown to pieces. So yeah, that might save some cash if you can find these miniature 500 milliamp T500s, and just bear in mind that there is, they've smeared that with silicone and then they've pushed it on. That's all they've done. Obviously they've lined up both ends so the pins are in the correct orientation, but that is all they have done. So you can just cut that and free it. So it could save a few quid potentially. If you look down there, you can see the residue of the silicone sealant right down in the bottom by the pins. So they literally have just smeared it on there and then just forced it all the way in. And let it set after checking the orientation of the pins, and yeah, job done. So I shall get some of those ordered and we'll be able to save both of those.